Hey, it's Joe. Got another question. This one is from Jeff Carroll from Seattle, Washington. Jeff says, based on my own background, the main thrust is, where is all this leading? What's the finish line? For example, how do I create a minimum $10,000 a month permanent income, not lease options that can cash out? Besides paying off the single-family houses, which is great, how do small to large apartments and self-storages figure in this ultimate plan? In short, where is all this leading? Well, the goal is to have 100% passive income, just like you say here. If you can get $10,000 a month, you got $120,000 a year. It's a pretty good income. And if you own rental property or real estate in general, typically rents go up over time because inflation makes them go up. So that makes your investment inflation proof, your passive investment inflation proof. If you buy a fixed CD or annuity and you know it's going to be at X amount of dollars, you know that that's going to stay the same until you die. Whereas real estate has the potential to go up, and the likelihood is that it will go up over time. Now, values fluctuate, and we've all seen a big adjustment in values across the country, but income has stayed pretty stable across the board all over the country. And we've seen a little bit of adjustment in rents on the downward side over this last year or so. I was surprised that it didn't drop earlier, but it didn't, and then we saw the last year it dropped maybe 5–10% in some places, but it's still a good solid investment. All the real estate that I own is still bringing in income every month. I own property free and clear. I also own property that I bought subject to that is paying off a loan over time, and that'll work really well. And I bought properties that I even used loans to do. You can't get investment loans these days that make any sense at all, and I wouldn't suggest that anybody do that. And there are some other problems with that as well, which I won't cover in this program. But I think the goal, and the other question you had was, should I buy commercial property like multifamily and self-storage? If you've got the cash, they can be good. They can be good investments. If you look at single-family homes and you look at the rent-to-price ratio, it's much higher on a single-family home than it would be on a commercial property, depending on where you buy. If you buy in good, solid, blue-collar neighborhoods where you can get substantial, professional, competent property managers, which is what you want, because for it to be passive income, you've got to have a good property manager to handle the work for you, or good property managers if you're in multiple areas like I am. So it's very important to have good people that it can do this for you. You don't have to manage the properties yourself, whether it's self-storage or commercial. So if you have good property management, a lot of the reasons to buy commercial, which from what I hear from people that own a lot of commercial, is that, oh, it's easier to manage commercial property. That's true, but you also have the potential for more vacancies, especially in a volatile environment, in economic environment, and you still have to make payments on the mortgage unless you paid cash for the property. Then it doesn't hurt as bad, but it still means that you're going to have less income per dollar that you spend. So if you want to get 5% return or 7% return or 10 or 15 or 25 or 30 or 35% return, which you can do in real estate, and which I'm doing in real estate, and more if you do even more things to it, like become active in the investing part of it, where you turn around and sell some of the properties that you buy, then single-family homes make a lot more sense for that reason. I've done commercial, I've done self-storage, I've worked in those environments, but I like single families better, and the majority of what I have in my portfolio is single-family homes, and I'd recommend the same to you. A lot of people think that multi-family properties are pretty sexy because you think, well, if one of them is vacant, then the rest of them will pay for it. That's not always the case. And you also have to think about the loan, you have to think about the return on investment, you have to think about the headaches to get them filled, who's going to manage them, is it easier to manage a multifamily than it is a single family, and then you have to think about liquidity, because eventually you're going to die and you're going to pass these things on to your kids. Or maybe you're going to just want to sell the properties and take some cash out for yourself. If that's the case, a single-family home is a lot easier to sell than a multifamily building. And if you try to sell even in a weak market, you can still get your cash out and you can do all right in it. And there's so many things that you can do with single-family homes that you can't do with multifamily. So that's why I push single-family homes over multifamily. I know a lot of people are making money in multifamily and they're happy with it. Most of them are probably buying using terms or using cash, but most of them are using terms, and they're finding good cash flow situations where they have enough money to go in and fix up the properties and get good people to do that rehab work for them inexpensively. But they're still coming out of pocket to do that. So real estate investing is a process. You start, trying to get some income coming in, just trying to get some money to replace your income, so you can quit your job, so you can do this full time. You start buying these properties, and then you just flip them at the beginning, and then you start keeping them. After you have to get enough income to support yourself, you start keeping these properties and building your portfolio. That's what makes you rich. So buying these properties over the long term is what's going to make you rich. You can do it in just a few short years. I've got a student right now that has $4 or $5 million worth of property. Half of it's paid off, and they're bringing in a lot of income every month. And they've only been doing this for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. So it's not that big of a challenge to pull this off. And granted, they are the exception, not the rule. Not everybody's pulling that off on that level. But it does show you the kind of thing that can happen when you buy single-family homes. But like I said, the goal for most folks is to get started and start flipping deals, because once you do that, then you can move on to the next step, which is building the portfolio. All right, hope that helps.